Welcome into the Source to Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball and recruiting podcast on the growing KSR Podcast Network, presented as always by our very dear friends at Club Blue. Club Blue is the official collective partner of the University of Kentucky. I am your host, Jack Pilgrim, finally back in the comfort of my home alongside the comfort of my podcast home. Shawn Smith, welcome back, buddy. It's been a minute, and we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about, specifically win down in Knoxville. Maybe you may have heard of it. Maybe you may have seen it, but plenty of fun stuff to get to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. When was the last time I was on? Pre-Alabama? I believe so.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because the schedule has just been crazy for the last few weeks. But no, a lot's happened, and, a lot of good this week. Like, big win on Rocky Top. I know that you were there to experience that. Another car episode home, which I thought was well done by both of you a couple of times now. So, no, just a great week so far, and then an emotional end coming to the end of the week here that we'll get into.
So, and I kind of painted the picture on that last road trip show that we did. That one was going to serve as like the, hey, here are the kind of like, hey, we slept on it for a night. Here's just two guys rambling in a car for, like just car talk, just pretty surface level. Just, hey, let's talk about the game. All fun, good vibes. Wanted this show to be digging a little deeper into how the win happened, what you saw on film, what worked, and what it means really in the grand scheme of things. What that was one that going into the year, not a lot of people thought we'd be able to make that happen. How they were able to do it and kind of what it means, especially now as we transition into the Arkansas game, and one that all fans have had their eye on since the minute it was announced. And we're also excited to have on Dennis Johnson at 8:30, a massive event coming into town here on Sunday where Jasper Johnson gets his own homecoming. Everybody's obviously excited about John Calipari's homecoming, but a day later, almost just a little over under 24 hours later, you'll get Jasper Johnson returning to Lexington, to Versailles. He'll be at Woodford County High School, and he's going to preview. His dad's going to preview that event with us, the meaning behind it, why they're doing it, and kind of share his thoughts through the eyes of the father of future Wildcat. Kind of what this season has looked like for him, and kind of what fans should expect from Jasper in his senior year at OTE. So a lot of good stuff on the docket here, Shawn.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a busy week for Source to Say, and I know I've had some people reach out to me like, hey, when are you going to be back on the show? And that's coming. It's coming. I'm going to be on here.
We're doing 5 shows, and you're going to be on 4 of them. So the patience will pay off.
Yeah, it will. And I appreciate, you all getting episodes out and stuff around, our game schedule and what we're doing and stuff with our schedule. But I'm excited to dive into what happened in Knoxville because, it's one of those things that I'm all the time coming up with new terminology. It feels like this year to describe this league and what we're in, and this gauntlet of the SEC that is kind of devouring some. And, I said that I feel like Kentucky's kind of got those, I call them life preserver wins, where when you look at this schedule and you're about to sink, you lose at Clemson in early December, and then you go on the road and play a neutral site, well, really a road game against Gonzaga, and you get a win, right? That's kind of grabbing the life preserver and staying afloat. Well, then you come through in league play and you start and you lose to Georgia, but then you find a way in one of those games, Jack, where I don't think a lot of people gave them a chance on the road in Starkville, and you're above water again. Well, you're drowning a little here, Alabama Vandy, and you're going to a place where nobody's really giving you a shot. You're without both point guards, and you grab onto the life preserver again. And those wins to me are what can separate you from maybe not that number 1, number 2 spot in the league, but it's keeping you from sliding down into territory where an Arkansas is coming in here this weekend that they're looking for anything to grab onto and stay afloat. So that's kind of how I've identified those. And I think the one on Tuesday in Knoxville was the biggest of them all. Just because you went into a place that you're the last team to beat them in that building, dating back to last season and this season. Like, just a hell of a win for Kentucky, and they've kind of flipped the script in that building the last few what, 3 or 4 or 5 years, because for the longest time,
Yeah.
that was the one that got them. But now they're going down there, and it seems like almost every time they go, it's one of those, they're without somebody, and you're like, man, this is the one that you don't really give them a chance in. But they did enough early, making shots early, and then Tennessee 11 for 45 from three, and then you ask Rick Barnes if they're good enough to do that, and he was kind of said no, right? Like they're what they're built to do. So just a great win for Mark Pope and his team.
I want to ask just, the mindset and the identity of this team, knowing that you're down a starting point guard, and like you're a coach, you know going in that like, hey, we're drowning here. We got no starting point guard. We don't have a backup point guard. How are we gonna go win a game in a unbelievably hostile environment, going up against the number one defense in college basketball, one that's going to press 94 feet, that's going to get up on you, that's going to try to be physical, that's going to try to force turnovers? Like, what is your approach going into that game? In what your vision was going, and we had our own private text message thread going, and it was not positive. And when the news broke that Lamont Butler was going to be out, it was expletive. This could get pretty darn ugly. To go from that and to create a game plan and say, all right, hey, we're without 2 point guards. What do you do? And then to come up with a plan and then execute that plan. Just how did we get there, Shawn?
You got there with early made threes, right? That kind of put you in a position to be there to go on a run and win the game in the second half. And when they came out, it was made three in the opening segment. Meanwhile, Tennessee's missing threes, missing shots. And you kind of created some separation early on the road that gave you a chance. And I think that we all know for Kentucky to have success, they've got to shoot the ball fairly well from three. They don't have to be excellent from three, but they can't be obviously to what Tennessee was. But when you look at it, just the efficiency that they had, making 12 threes, they obviously didn't shoot 30. They didn't have to. They shot enough to win the game. But to me, Jack, it's one of those things. And obviously in our text group, we were talking about, man, this is a really bad spot to be in. You're on a 2-game losing skid. You're going to Knoxville. You're without point guards. Who knows what Andrew Carr is going to be able to give you? Your rotation's changing a little bit with Trent Noah moving in and getting more run. What do you do with Travis Perry? How big is Colin Chandler going to be? Like, you had to play all 3 freshmen when just not so long ago there were no freshmen playing on this team. So it's completely flipped how the rotation goes. But the one thing that we've consistently seen is when their back's against the wall, they always respond and they always get one of those wins. I honestly think that you picked this. You did. You picked a win. But majority of people, I think, have identified games like against Gonzaga, at Mississippi State, at Tennessee, and probably thought, this is where it happens. This is where they crack and they go on a 3-game skid or a losing streak that kind of flips how you feel about them. But they always answer and find a way to win. And that's what it's going to take to survive in this league, get a seed that you feel good about going in the NCAA tournament. These are the separator wins, Jack. It's not having to go 12-6 in the league or 14-4. It's can you tread just enough to survive that you don't slip towards the bottom half of this league where it can consume you and you lose 4 or 5 in a row. Like this game coming up this weekend, if Arkansas can't come out of here alive, you're already in a bad spot, but it gets worse. Kentucky getting the win in Knoxville, it kind of gives itself some breathing room. But to me, this team in its balanced attack, Ainsley Almanor is playing unbelievable right now, making shots. And
dude, I love him so much.
Well, when I was talking about this in the preseason and early in the season, I wasn't meaning a stretch of games. I was meaning a stretch in a game that he was going to come up and win a game for you. He's actually giving them he's outperformed any expectation. And just the way he's shooting the basketball, it's given them so much when there's not a whole lot of bodies there. I thought the freshmen gave them some stuff too. And we'll get into all that, but just a heck of a win on the road, a gutsy win going into that building. you give up the lead late first half, going to the half, you're trailing, then you come out and you stay hot. Jackson Robinson making shots, Otega Owe doing his thing. Amari Williams, I thought was excellent. Just an overall total team win that you feel good about, but it continues to give you confidence that when this team is backed in a corner, Jack, they're going to find a way to respond.
What did it say to you, knowing how we lost at Vandy, knowing you're in that spot up, comfortably with 8 minutes to go, and then you cough it up, choke, however you want to describe it there at the very end, and even with the momentum in hand, and then you go down to Knoxville. You're in an identical spot. You get there earlier. I mean, you take a halftime deficit, go into 14 minutes left in the game, you're up comfortably again. You ride that wave down to that 2 segments left, 8 minute mark, same exact scenario. You're up 7-8 points, and yes, the last 3 minutes were excruciating in terms of rebounding and coming up with loose balls and some of those things, but they held and just kind of just rode the wave through the finish line, and they got it done. What does it say about the resolve in the game, 4-day difference between what we saw Saturday, what we saw Tuesday in that same exact, final 8-minute stretch?
Well, I'm all the time talking about that this game will bring you full circle and put you right back in the same scenario and situation to where you have an opportunity. And that's the beauty of this sport, right? It's the beauty of college basketball that not often do you have to wait 7-8 days to go out and try to compete again. You're right back 3 days later in the same state, in the same opportunity, against a team that we view as a better basketball team. Even though Vandy did beat Tennessee as well, I think that everybody believes that Tennessee's probably got the better team. So to me, it shows growth. It shows the ability to kind of grab onto film and figure out where you made mistakes. And can you take film to the court? And they were able to do that. And it was across the board. Like, the value that's coming from, obviously you want Lamont Butler out there. Like, you need Lamont Butler if you want to make a run in the NCAA tournament. You need Kerr to eventually hopefully get back to a point to where he's able to maybe make an appearance or this season. You need Andrew Carr to be closer to 100% than what he is. Like, you don't need just a short spurt of Andrew Carr. You need to be able to play him 25, 30 minutes a game and get him back in the rotation. So obviously you're dinged up a little here, or not just a little, you're dinged up a lot. But the value in this too, Jack, is we've talked so much about this freshman class that we didn't really know what this group was going to mean to the program beyond now. But they're getting valuable experience in key moments that they were not going to get if you didn't have the injuries and the things that you've had. Like, this bodes well for the future. But with Trent Noah, I think they found a rotation piece that they're going to have even when everybody's healthy and available. Like, did you see the bench reaction when he hits the three? The coach's reaction.
My favorite, Jason Hart getting down on his knees,
yes.
like
that's almost we've found something in the trials of what we're going through right now. And that's the beauty of it, is you have found that, okay, and maybe, and like, Pope obviously has his guys that he trusts. I think he likes Travis. He likes Chandler. Obviously, he likes Trent Noah. But you got to learn to trust those guys too. And at this point in time, Jack, he had no choice but to try it. And Trent goes in back-to-back games and makes shots and makes plays. And I think that in that moment, when you can do that on the road at Tennessee in a top 10 team, you build trust with your head between head coach and player. And I think that that's a big deal, because now I think when everybody's back, I think you're going to see runs with Trent and stretches with Trent Noah in the game. And he's shown that he can step up and make a big shot for you. So you get a little bit deeper, but you also kind of plant those roots for that retention that we've been talking about. That it's not just bodies coming back, it's bodies with big game experience in the SEC if you can hold on to people. But to me, just the resolve that this team has, the talent, obviously top to bottom, they might not be a top 4, top 5 team in the country talent-wise, but what they've got is, when you add resolve to what they're doing, they have a toughness about them that they play together. They know how to bounce back. and they're showing you that they can beat really good teams. Like that's a road win at Mississippi State and a road win at Tennessee, in two environments that I'm not sure a lot of people had high on the confidence meter that they were getting. I picked them to lose both Tennessee games. I can pat myself on the back and say that I picked them to beat Duke, right? But when you get down to the league play, I just thought that was a building they would lose in. But what they've done now is they put themselves in a position to where when that team comes in this building in a few weeks, you got all the confidence in the world that you can sweep them now. And that's a sweep that I didn't have on my bingo card when the year started. Now you still got to go back it up, but they're finding a way. Like when you're talking collection of wins, there's not many teams, if any, that have a better collection of wins than what Kentucky has right now with no bad losses. None. None of those are bad. You'd like to have the one in Nashville. You'd like to have the one in Athens. You don't, but you've got really good wins, Jack. But just an overall great win, but the coaching staff too. The reaction to Trent Noah's 3 was probably my takeaway from the game, because that
was awesome.
That to me was a staff that was like they've talked behind closed doors, and that was a Mark Fox and Jason Hart looking at each other and just like, we talked about this. This is the moment that we talked about.
What's funny is Pope on his call-in radio show Wednesday night talked about that exact sequence, said right before that, some of the other staff members were saying, hey, the data shows that now is the time to pull Trent and kind of keep the rotation moving. And Jason Hart in that moment jumped in and said, hold, because it's coming. I feel it coming. And so that was a celebration of like, I called it. I knew that was coming. Well, so it's a celebration of like, hey, I made a gutsy call. Let's own it.
And you know, credit to Mark Pope for trusting the gut decision of someone else too. Like data is data. Like you have all the numbers, and we know that what they do with this program, so much of it is built on numbers and looking at it, because you are what your numbers say you are. You are what this reflection of it is on paper when you're looking at things. But at the end of the day, you've got to trust your gut in this business. And let's face it, I'm not sure how high up on the scouting report Trent Noah was going to that game, because nobody really knew. And you step in a step or two too far, and he's pulling it from the end of the Tennessee logo on, and you're like, oh wow, this kid just shot this and had the confidence to do it, to put you up double digits. I thought Mark Pope had maybe I'm wrong, I wasn't there, you were in the building, but he had like an energy to him too at that night that like he was like, man, I really want this win. That he was late. I mean, he's obviously, his demeanor is the same, but I thought there were some points throughout the game where he showed some fire at times. And there was one, did you notice at halftime when Tennessee takes the lead, Pope was really upset with, I believe it was Jackson and Brandon Garrison, because they inbounded the basketball. Mm-hmm. Like that was one of the most upset moments I've ever seen from Mark Pope, because they inbounded the ball too soon. He wanted them to let the clock run and leave no time left on the shot clock. That's the data and things that Mark Pope collects. And I saw like that was probably one of the most I'd say pissed off times I've seen him, was like, what are you like? But it obviously didn't come back to bite you. They ended up going into the half, and then they ended up taking the lead early in the second half. But I thought I saw some fire from him too, that when you've lost 2 in a row and you've prepared like they prepared, Jack, I think that he knew how important it was to leave there with a win. But they overcome a lot. They shot it well. But look, when Tennessee is going to continue shooting threes like that, I watched this team in the preseason, and I said they were elite on the defensive end of the floor, but I watched them struggle in half-court offense. I was like, that team's going to struggle to score the entire season. Like that's their identity's hard to follow on the offensive floor. It's brutal to watch, but overall, like, man, what a statement win to bounce back and get it on the road in Knoxville.
Made the free throws down the stretch after a wonky up and down, performance at the line there throughout the game. Hit the big ones that matter down the stretch, but also no field goals in the last 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Again, last 3 minutes or so, Kentucky did just about anything to lose that game with loose balls and giving up a million offensive rebounds that led to a million 3-point attempts that very, very luckily did not go in. And Pope said that the luck was a part of it. Pope said that, part of our game plan was like, hey, we would rather give up threes to guys that we're confident will not make them than, anything else. Like that was the game plan. Hey, this is a really good team that can beat you in a lot of different ways. We kind of got to pick and choose what our battles are going to be, and this is the one we're choosing. So does that concern you at all, how the final couple of minutes unfolded and what it meant?
Well, the turnover numbers, when you look at it, if Kentucky doesn't turn the ball over, then this game ends up being a much larger margin than it did. Tennessee, you probably got the box score pulled up. I was trying to pull it up. Yep. Tennessee shoots, was it 24 more shots than Kentucky?
They shoot 22 more shots overall and 21 more 3-pointers.
20
and Kentucky still managed to hit one more 3.
The rebounding battle is almost even. You do give up 18 offensive rebounds. Assists are even. Like when you look at it, like if the turnovers aren't there, like and Kentucky only turned it over 13 times. It's not like it was 18, 19 turnovers, but in situations, I think that's probably the concern. But then again, you also got to remember they played that game without a point guard. They played that game without an available point guard at all, which late in games is where I think not having a point guard probably shows itself even more. Now, there's also value in playing through your 5-man when you don't have a point guard. Like it's just get us to the half court and let us get the ball to whoever the 5 is, and that's kind of the facilitator that connects both sides of the floor. So there's an advantage to playing the way Kentucky does, but in late games where you're getting pressured, Tennessee obviously that we know that their pressure is elite. The way that they play on that end of the floor, that's those final few minutes is where you have that kind of, we don't have a point guard right now. But they built enough early on, Jack, with those made threes, and then that stretch in the second half that provided the separation, that they were the team that was – I would much rather be in a situation that I'm the team that's having to hold on than I'm the team that's having to dig. Right? Like I'd much rather be saying I've got the lead and it's up to me to protect this thing than I'm down. I've got to fight like heck to come back. Like I'd much rather be in the role that Kentucky was in late. But how about Amari's pass early in the game out to Ansley in the corner? Just the vision that he had in that moment. But talking MVPs for this team, Trent obviously had a great stretch, but the way Almanor's playing right now and buying into a role, it's just like, hey, I'm going to continue to make shots. Like you keep giving me open threes, I'm going to make shots. And boy, you're talking about a guy that's 9th man if everybody's healthy, might be the best 9th man in the country for what he gives.
Speaking of just kind of the depth and guys stepping up off the bench, Colin Chandler, you wondered what the goal was there at times early on where, holding him out there for 5-6 minutes at a time and not getting anything of him offensively, and just basically saying, hey, you're our defender. You're go lock up Chaz Lanier. Go make a couple plays on the defensive end. In the way he rode the momentum with him and just said, hey, I know it might not be the prettiest thing in the world right now, but I kind of see the long distance vision with him. What did you think of Colin Chandler? No points, obviously, but providing some really crucial defensive minutes there in his by far the most he's played all season long, 15 minutes there off the bench.
No, I thought he was good. For a guy that's not got a lot of opportunities at this stretch in the season, I thought that it showed, that he was ready, for his moment. Like you said, no points, but like I don't think when you have 5 guys scoring in double figures that you're really looking for somebody else to kind of add value with points. But he made a great decision early in the game out of a power play that found Ansley 4-3 on that baseline drive. He did lose Chaz in transition there late in the game where he kind of was trying to dig down and didn't maybe realize, who's running the floor in transition. You left the one guy that you don't want to leave open for Tennessee. But overall, Jack, I thought you got 15 minutes out of him that a month ago when everybody was healthy, I don't think that we were maybe wondering if we would get 15 minutes total out of Colin Chandler the rest of the way in key moments. You get 15 from him, you get 5 from Travis, you get 9 from Noah. Like, out of those freshmen, they made winning plays and they made impactful plays for you that provided some depth in the rotation for what you're doing. But another thing, we've talked a ton about the balance that Kentucky can beat you with on the glass, the balance in assists, the balance in scoring. But we've also talked about the balance from the 3-point line, that it doesn't always have to be one guy. We've had games where it's been Kobe Brea that's went off and made 7. Jackson's made 7. But just look at the balance there. Ansley hits 4. Jackson hits 4. Kobe hits 3. Like, that's really good balance on a night where as a team you do go 12 of 24, but I mean, you had 3 dudes make 3+. Like, it's a pretty good night as a team. Just another balanced win and a balanced attack. And that's how Kentucky gets it done this year. When you don't have the talent that they're going to have in the future, you got to have balanced efforts, and everything has to be total team wins. You got one in Knoxville.
We're about to bring on our very special guest, but real quick, first and foremost, Club Blue is the official collective partner of the University of Kentucky. Club Blue was founded by UK fans strictly to support the NIL efforts at the University of Kentucky. Unlike most collectives, 100% of subscriber fees, money, and 100% of donor money goes directly to NIL. Club Blue charges no fees. Club Blue subscribers receive some amazing benefits like invitations to special events, meet and greets with UK athletes, signed merchandise, monthly giveaways, ticket giveaways, Club Blue merch, and more. Subscribe today at www.clubbluenil.com. You can pick which sport you want to support when you sign up. Choose your sport and support with Club Blue. Now, very excited to bring on my guy, the man himself. Let's see if we can make this work. I'm producing on the fly right now, so let's hold on. There we go. There, bang. Dennis Johnson, what up, buddy?
What's happening, guys?
Well, we're talking Kentucky beating Knoxville, so we got to get your take. What went right for the Cats?
I think it was a great performance, and I think you guys said it best, man. I saw a little extra umph in Coach's step, man, and so they prepare hard, and had a week to work, man, and so they went down there and they grinded it out, man. Tennessee's a great team, and we were there 2 years ago on a visit at Tennessee when UK beat them, and that was we were kind of pumping our fists on the side. That's when what's the guy from Kentucky got his jersey retired? Lofton got his jersey retired.
Chris Lofton, that's right, yeah.
So it was good, man. I mean, the guy who came and picked us up he picked us up in a new truck. He made us walk back. He was so pissed. Well, you can't beat him. I was like, hey, big guy, don't be so mad, So no, it was good to see us go down there 2 years or 2 years, 2 times back to back to get a win in Knoxville, which is a hard place to play. So shout out to the Big Blue Nation and Coach Pope, and those guys did a great job, man.
Well, Dennis, your son is signed, sealed, delivered with the Cats finally. Been a long time coming, a long, strenuous process for you to go through the recruitment and kind of the ins and outs that come with that. Now you get to sit back and watch this team play and know that, like, hey, my son will be in Jackson Robinson's shoes next year, Kobe Brea's shoes. How different has that been for you to watch these games and say, like, okay, the vision that Pope has been selling me from the minute he got signed here got this job to what it is today, knowing that, like, hey, we're up next.
No, it's fun to watch, man. I'll probably be a little more calm. I'm a little more calm watching now than I will be next year. Just to coach me. But I love watching those guys play. And I'm gonna tell you the most impressive thing. I think one of you guys said it, man. This is a team put together this year where everybody is connected and needs to be healthy and together. And they've done it. They've won 2 or 3, big games with 1 or 2 guys out. So when he gets his whole roster healthy, and the average person doesn't understand how you have to go about practice when you don't have your guys, and it just makes it different. The scout team and trying to prep without your guys, you got to put some of those guys on scout, and then you lose some minutes and trying to get your rotations and things right. So they've done a phenomenal job, man, and just to see what they've done in a short amount of time with the injuries they've had has been very impressive. So I'm excited to see. I was at Carson's early meeting with some guys, and everybody's excited for the game this weekend. But just to see, once the tournament time starts, if they can get everybody healthy, and I think it's going to be a fun ride.
Shawn, if you want to jump in with what you're going to ask.
Yeah, you brought up Coach Pope a minute ago. Dennis, what have you been the most impressed with Mark Pope?
I'm gonna tell you, and I talk a lot to my guys. I'm a intense, in your face, hardcore, old school coach, and he's really changed my perspective on how to coach kids in 2025 going forward. I think it's a place for that, but I think it's a place where you got to give a kid a hug and you got to show him some love and a lot of positive energy. You know, when Jackson was struggling, the average person, the way Pope talked was like, man, he's playing good, and so he just put his arms around him and loved him. And I just think in this generation, the day of just constantly yelling and screaming and you know what I'm saying is over. You gotta go at it a different way. Kids are built different. I think, if we don't change, right, then the game will pass us on. But that's the one thing I've just been very, very, very and Cope, this is the highest profile job in college basketball, and Pope has done it with such like grace and composure. Man, that's the most impressive thing to me as a coach because I like watching the game from a coach's perspective, and I just look at when they pan to the coach or if I'm at the game and just see how some coaches lose their mind, which is probably more me than Pope, but just seeing how he is so calm and just he never gets too high, never gets too low. I think that's very, very impressive.
Knowing your son's talents and just kind of how player driven it is, and with this Kentucky offense, and how shooters and score, pure scores fit in so well. What have you liked about just kind of seeing the offense that, again, like that he sold you when the recruiting process was unfolding, and kind of seeing Jackson in those roles and seeing Kobe and all the different guys. I mean, shoot, even Amari Williams playing point guard, just the positionless versatility that really Pope is trying to push.
I think this is a game. I think Pope is under appreciated and don't really talk a lot about is his knowledge of the game and how forward thinking. I said it last time I was on her. He's to me he's the Hal Mummy of this era of basketball. Playing through the five, man. The five is a point which takes a lot of pressure off your point guards, right? They can move around and you get him the ball and a lot of DHOs and coming off screen and stuff, but it runs through the big man, so it takes so much pressure. Then when Jackson, we got some guys hurt when Jackson has to play the point or somebody else, man, it just frees a lot of people up. And him being in the five, being in the center of the lane, being able to run stuff, it makes it hard for defenses, man. And most teams have one or two fives, and yes, they, we turn the ball for anybody else, but those guys running it through them, and it's different. You know what I'm saying? And so I really respect that, and I think those guys those 5 men have done a good job of just kind of distributing the ball. And then, if a guy backs up, that Williams can make the little floater, and if you back up, so it puts the defense in the bind. And so with the injury we've had, man, playing through the five, which Pope's always done, is kind of brilliant, and I think it's helped our team out a ton.
What have you liked about Jasper's senior year, and kind of the way he has grown, the way he's developed, the way he's kind of not just a pure catch and shoot scorer, the way he's kind of explored different areas of his game, explored as a defender and playmaker, different things in that system, and how it is going to help for what Kentucky fans are going to see out of him next season?
Well, I think the one great thing about OT is they don't super define roles, right? They want to get all the kids ready to be able to go play at the next level. So, if Jax really wanted to, he could probably score 30 a game. But if you look, man, I think he's third in the league in assists. And so he's really trying to get other people involved, trying to move without the ball a lot more, which he's having to do, you know what I'm saying? And doing so much other things. I know Corey and I talked a month ago, and him and Jester had a really big sit down, like, man, you can score when you're not scoring, right? When you don't have the ball, what else can you do? And so I think the last 5-6 games, he's 2 or 3 double-digit rebounding games. I think he's 3 or 4 steals, and he's always assist the ball and get the ball to the right person. So just those things, I think he's 184 now, and so the way he takes care of his body, right? He lifts 3 or 4 times a week. He has a guy comes over and work on his body a few times a week. So just trying to prepare yourself to get ready. Because I tell people, look. Football, basketball, SEC is a different beast, right? You're never going to be ready until you go out there and do it. So I think playing at OT, they let them play. They let them beat each other up, man. If you ever go to a game, man, they let them play physical, which is Jasper needs, right? Being a smaller body, get knocked down, and so he's kind of getting some some premature kind of the physicality of what it's going to be next year playing college basketball. So I think all that stuff has been good for him, and I think it's opened his mind to being able to be, more talkative, more of a leader. Corey's kind of, I know Corey said, I asked him at halftime, what are you seeing? What we need to do? And when you go to the games, right, he's like, yo, what are we in, guys? So he doesn't really say it. So he's trying to kind of back up as the coach and let those guys be coaches on the floor. And so Jasper's trying to find his voice, still working on it, still working on the defensive side of the ball. But I think being able to play at OT against some of those guys who are really, really good players will show benefits next year when he gets to Kentucky.
Shawn, if you
Yeah.
want to jump in, go for it.
Dennis, we talked earlier before you jumped on about Trent Noah and Travis Perry and the impacts that they're getting to make, especially being shorthanded. But how cool is it for Mark Pope's first class to be headlined by two local guys, from the state with
Right.
Jasper and Malachi? How cool is that?
No, I think it's phenomenal, and shout out to Malachi. He made McDonald's All-American, so shout out to him. I think that's phenomenal, man. He's a great kid. We had dinner New Year's night, so Caden's family, our family, Malachi's family, all went to Carson's and had dinner, so we got to know each other. And so we got a big group text going. I think the guys during spring break gonna get a chance to work out and stuff. But no, man, it's great. Malachi is a super talent, and just to have two kids in this class from Kentucky, and then just to be able to see what Trent and Travis are able to do, man, I think it's great for the state. I think the people love it. I think when Travis and Trent make a shot, man, it gives the crowd an extra boost, which is cool, man. Which is cool. Which you want from in-state kids. So I think it's a shout out to all the high school coaches in Kentucky, or those kids, high school coaches, man, who put a lot into it. I think the level has raised, and we've Kentucky's put ourselves on the map to have some high caliber players, and so we put ourselves out there to go play in big time AAU and some tournaments, and so all these kids have done a good job. So it's definitely exciting as a fan and as a father to see these kids be able to play in them. Just and I always say, what are the chances of your kid, man? I mean, the horror wants to go Kentucky, and so what is the chances of Trent Noah, Malachi Moreno, Jasper Johnson, what I'm saying? These kids being able to say, we're good enough to really be off the scholarship, not kind of like on, okay, just because you're okay, but being able to go in and be able to have a chance to compete. So, no, it's definitely exciting to be in this first recruiting class, and we're excited for the rest of this season, and then to get there this summer and get ready to work.
You brought it up, not me. We keep it real on here. Your son got snubbed. I'll say it if you're not willing to. McDonald's All-American came out. Love Malachi. Proud of him. He's absolutely deserving of it. But your thoughts on the news that the Jasper got snubbed?
Well, no, guys, is part of it, man. Jasper's been a chance to have a lot of success, man. Made USA, went through the whole cut of that, and got invited to Hoopah, or what is it, Nike Hoop Summit.
Nike Hoop Summit, yep.
Yeah. So it's tough. Every kid wants to be able. I've heard a lot of things. He's a fifth year. You can't get in. I've heard so many stories, but I told Jasper at the end of the day, and I said, man, you can't. It's spoken, it's out there, right? You just got to deal with it and move on. And Jasper, not one of those people that, man, use it as fire. Man, Jasper, that's not who Jasper is. He loves basketball. He's going to go. He's not on tonight because he's training with Coach Blair. You got the guy who turns out the pros in Atlanta, so he does 2 times a week with him from 7 to 9, working on a lot of different stuff. And so, but no, man, it hurts. I'm human. As a dad, I wanted my son to try to get this. So whatever happened, whether he was of year restriction, he didn't, whatever it was, right? I get it. What I'm saying? We can't do anything about it. And I'm not one of those people who, when you see me, like, me, I'm at the end of the bleachers up top. I don't try to finesse people, and because I'm just never been like that with my kids. You get what you get. I'm not one of those people. Even when I was a coach at Woodford County, I never put my kids on like the prospect list for college coaches. They just kind of like, oh, who is this kid? You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be able to get it honestly. So, hopefully, whatever it is for Jasper, right? I'm saying? He's a man of few words. And I said, it is what it is. I got a trillion calls. I said, hey, guys, it's part of it. We're definitely disappointed. But, the McDonald's organization, people have spoken, and you deal with it. It won't be your first. If this is the worst thing that happens to you, you lived a good life, man. So as hurtful as it is, the dad probably me more than, you know what I'm saying? Because I was saying, you know, how cool would it be for me to be All-American and your son? But hey, it's not as we got some other opportunities, and we're going to take full advantage of those and move on. And all of it doesn't matter. In 2 or 3 months, it doesn't matter because you got to go prove yourself on the real big stage. You know what I'm saying? So we're excited for all those people who made it. And Jasper's journey is Jasper's journey. That's one thing I tell all my kids now, man. Everybody looks at everybody's offers and what so-and-so has. Like, listen, guys, my journey is my journey. Your journey is your journey. And Jasper's has some great experiences in basketball. Stuff I would never, at 6 years old, when we were in the gym at 5:31 in the morning, I never would have thought that he would be able to go play USA basketball in Argentina, get to go CP3 2 or 3 times, get to work out in the Oregon. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, things that I never was able to accomplish. So, no, I'm happy for Jasper. But, you know, you move on and let's see what the future holds. But every day, right, every day is a job interview. Every single day I tell him, every day you lace those shoes up, people are watching, so you got to put your best foot forward.
Hey, you said it best. Caden as well. I think
Yeah,
all three of them were deserving, and the accolades will come at the University of Kentucky. They will prove their worth when it actually matters. But still, shout out Malachi, awesome
Absolutely.
kid who's absolutely deserving as well. Big opportunity for him this weekend. A big homecoming. That's why we brought you on. Talk to me about how the event came together, the Court 14 Classic, how it came together, and the importance of Jasper coming home this last run with OTE.
Well, last year his agent Nate Conley said, "Man, let's do something for your father in memory of him," because Jasper had been gone for 2 years. So when he was a link, he said, "Let's put together this classic," and so we did last year, and great event, man. I don't know how we can. I really don't need to do it because he probably can't top what he did. What he did last year was just a blessed event, man. My father was. He must have had his hands on the rim putting all those shots in, and so that's how it came about. And so we had 2 games last year. We're gonna do it this year. So first game will be Woodford versus Taylor County. Taylor County has a guard that's really good. And then we got our Mello Boone going to West Kentucky, who's a phenomenal player. Second game will be Trinity versus North Laurel, the Reese Davidson kid, and the Jaden Johnson from Trinity. Just high prospect kids. And then we will play Huntington Prep again. And so Jasper's, instead of with Link, he's with RWE, which is a fan favorite at OTE, man. So they'll come in and it'll be 4, 5:30, and 7 o'clock. And so I want to do it in honor of my father. And I did an interview the other day. The real reason I did this, man, was to, kids in Woodford County, man, I try to be on the forefront of things. And I want these kids to be able to see what it looks like to have a chance to play high caliber basketball. What does it look like? What is it? The flow of the game, the fast pace of how it is, the physicality, how big you have to be. And so last year I got so much positive feedback from a lot of our youth kids and parents to be able to see all these guys, LeBron Filine, Trey Johnson, get to take a picture to see these guys. And now you get to see, all these guys this year, Taylor Kenny, who's coming home, who's a phenomenal talent. And West Virginia, I think they have one of the top freshmen in the country. So kids being able to see it live and in person in Woodford County. And, last year, Cal, when all the coaches came, I mean, Hubert Davis and Sean May and Dennis Gates and all those guys came. And so, the interaction between those guys was gracious to all of our fans. And so just a good event for our community, and to be able to bring it to Woodford County, I think is great for our community, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for, we want Jasper to come home, but more than that, I want these young kids to be able to see what it really does take to give yourself a chance to get to that type of a level.
How excited is Jasper to be home and just kind of be back? We know how much the first homecoming meant for him, but, it was still that getting his feet wet, still had a senior year to kind of look ahead to. There's still a lot on his mind. This is this chapter of his life closing and saying goodbye officially to high school and a place that meant so much to him at Woodford County, fans and friends and family members that meant so much to him, part of this journey before he kind of takes that next step. So what does this event mean to him specifically to be back and just kind of say goodbye to high school the right way?
Well, I think it meant a lot when we were preparing for his signing. He said, "Dad, I wanted to do it at Woodford County, because he has a loyalty. We've been there for I've been there for 10 years, and so that's where he started. You know what I'm saying, working out there, and a lot of his friends are there, and people he respects, and people who've helped him, teachers and people in the community, and he loves Danny Atkins, who's our superintendent. They're good buddies and man, good friends, and so he wants to come back and put on a show. And the thing about Jasper, man, he doesn't really, like I said, he just I probably feel more pressure for him to perform than he does, but he just comes back and plays. And he said, Dad, I work out and I try to do my best, and we'll see what happens. And so I want every shot to go in, and I know that's not possible, but he's excited to come home. A big thing for my mother, right? A big thing for her because she's so instrumental in our family, man. She's the backbone since my father passed, and so we will try to honor her at some point to give recognition to my father. But we got a lot of family and friends coming in town, so it should be a great weekend. We got 5 games on Saturday. I think Douglas is playing. We got the Ed Step Classic. Ed Step was a monumental figure in Woodford County who passed away 4 or 5 years ago. So we're going to honor him on Saturday. And so basketball in Woodford County will take place all weekend. So if you're not doing anything, come out Saturday for the Ed Step Classic. 5 games, and then Sunday starting at 4. You can see 3 great games. Tickets on Saturday on GoFan. Tickets on Sunday are on SimpleTix.com. So $20 to get in for 3 games, but it should be a great atmosphere. Got a ton of media coming. Probably some special guests will be in the building, so it should
I'll
be
be
fun.
there.
Jack Pilgrim, if you want a picture of Jack Pilgrim, $20. See Coach Johnson.
I have to pay people $20 to take a picture with me.
So it should be a good event, man. We're excited to do it again, and shout out to a lot of people, and so we're looking forward to a fun event this weekend.
Man, it's going to be a blast. We're looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing, obviously the high profile matchup, getting Jasper back in Tay Kenny. I mean, that's a kid that Kentucky's all pushing their chips on, and highly invested in it for 2026 class. So we can kind of keep this train moving under Mark Pope, and odds are pretty darn good that Pope will make an attendance as well, in an appearance as well. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Before we get you out here, let's talk a little bit more ball, because you said it was a pretty significant weekend. It's a weekend that means a lot to BBN, especially. It's going to be a back-to-back for them. Your thoughts? You were kind of a unique situation where Jasper started the Kentucky journey and the recruiting process with Coach Cal, pushing all his chips in on your son. Recruited him when he went down to Arkansas. We know kind of that dynamic right there. How are you kind of going into this rivalry matchup and the Coach Cal's homecoming?
First of all, I'm pissed that game day is going to North Carolina Duke instead of
Thank you.
UK. I mean,
Thank you.
They played twice, and we were down there last year for the North Carolina Duke, which was a crazy experience. But I'm like, guys, they're going to play twice. This is where you need to be. So let me get that off my chest first. But no, I'm excited to see the matchup. I think Cal struck lightning in a bottle for 5 or 6 years in a row that probably would never be done. And those guys are on their 3rd contract. So we added a dimension to UK, a different dimension to UK basketball. And so it's like everything, man. You can only go so far. Your time has to run up. And so we felt it was time for him to go. And what a jewel we got in Mark Pope, man. 2 different type of coaches, right? But both of them have success in their own right. So I think it's going to be a crazy matchup. I just hope, as a Big Blue fan, I hope Arkansas doesn't come in here and shoot 60% from 3. You know what I'm saying? If they bank a 3, I'm turning it off. You know what I'm saying? But no, I'm excited. I think the guys, it'll remind you of, I think, of a UK Louisville game. I think that's how the energy and the juice will be. And I think both teams will be pumped up to play. The guys from Arkansas who were at Kentucky will be excited to come back and try to show the guys what we are. And I think Kentucky and others are saying, this is new Big Blue. We're going to show you who we are. So I'm excited for a great game. I know it's going to be electric. I wish I could be there. I'm going to be at Woodford County all day. But I think Jasper and their teammates are going to be at the game. So it should be very exciting.
Oh, I don't think we knew that. I mean, it figured, put two and two together that they'd be there. So that's a lot of fun. Everybody has to have a freaking take about this, and it's the taking over the world. Should John Calipari be booed by BBN when he makes his entrance? You got to pick a side because everybody has one right now.
Should he be booed? No, I think he left on his own terms, right? He didn't, we didn't. I don't guess we forced him out. He kind of left, right? And I've had conversations with him, on some other levels, and so for what he did right early in his career, I think was great. The last few years were a struggle, but I don't think, he brought us one national championship and a whole bunch of high profile recruits that all Big Blue Nation won. Now, did we win national championships? But on another front, guess what? A lot of those guys were able to accomplish their dreams, and that's what you want to do as a coach, right? I want to win a state championship at Woodford County, but if I can get my kids to college and in a good situation for them to be student athletes and maybe when they get out of college be debt free, that's probably my job. I'll probably say I want to do that more than winning a state championship Woodford County. And that was kind of that was his MO. So I can't fault the guy for that. You know what I'm saying? And he did a great job at it. Whatever you think about him, he did a great job of recruiting talent, and that talent went on that's thriving in the NBA. So no, if you want to stand there and say, I don't think we booing, right? I don't think maybe it's silent. What about that?
That's weird.
Silence.
That'd be weird. That'd be weird.
Silence, right? So,
I don't know if that, like, what kind of statement, like, would he hate that? Would he love that? Would he? And I do. He talked to the media. He hasn't talked all year. He's been sending assistants out all year. So I do respect him for going out and kind of just, hey, I'm gonna paint the picture. Here are my thoughts. It's gonna be an emotional day for me, this and that. I do appreciate that he didn't say, man, I hope that I'm not getting booed out there. Like, he kind of said, hey, I'm a competitor. I'm the when I was the head coach there, I don't remember a single opposing coach that didn't get booed because they're Kentucky fans. They're passionate. So I do appreciate that he's not kind of playing the, like, woe is me card, throw me a pity party, don't be mean to me. Like, he's like, hey, it's basketball. We know there's going to be a day at some point where his jersey is going to hang in the rafters and it's going to be absolutely well deserved. I am not going to personally boo. I love the man. Dude has done amazing things, some of my best favorite memories in life, but I see both sides of it, and it's unique. Everybody's got to have a take on it. Everybody's got to have a stance, and
he's on the other side of his career too. You know what I'm saying? He's on the backside more than the front side, and so he's been through it and seen it all, and he knows. And guess what? As a coach, you guys know his biggest thing is trying to get his team to prepare to play a good game. They've won one game in SEC, and so his job. He probably, as much as we're talking about it, he has no cares in the world about it, but he wants to get his team ready to play and come out and really show, that he still got it. So he'll have his best foot forward. I promise you, he'll be locked in on Saturday. And so I look forward to a great game from two great head coaches.
Yeah, totally agree. We'll wrap up with this. In terms of what you want the rest of this recruiting class to look like with Jasper, and not even just necessarily recruiting, but the roster makeup, what would be, the ideal situation for your son, Malachi, Caden, the best fit for what next year's roster should look like after, I guess, kind of seeing the landscape of college basketball this year, guys getting older, but also some young, freshman talent, the Cooper Flags of the world, taking over and doing their thing as well, kind of proving that, like, hey, freshmen aren't dead yet. Like, you guys might have wanted to push us out for all the old guys, but hey, the young pups can do their thing too. Just your kind of stance on it, what you're kind of hoping to see with talent next to your son.
No, I think you got to have a great mix, which everybody says, and I think we need to go get one more fifth-year guard who can, who can alleviate the pressure from a Caden and Jasper. You hope the one guy comes back, and we got the big coming back, and so we probably need to get probably another big, and probably a wing that can shoot it, a 6'7", 6'8" wing that can shoot it, and I know Pope will go out and recruit those guys. The one thing I respect is I think Pope is one of those guys that he just doesn't have to have 4 and 5 stars. He gets guys who fit his system, and I think that's a talent in itself. So many guys, right, the 4 and 5 just because, right, but you got to get guys that fit your system, and I think that's one thing he would do well. I think he did well with the limited time he had this year. He just, if it was 50 guys out there, he didn't target all 50 just because he targeted the 7, 8, 10 guys he thought they could fit his system. So I think with him having a year under his belt and having some time and going back and watching film out the video, he'll go out there 10 guys and he'll get 3 or 4 of the guys he wants to put together this roster. And I think it's going to be a dynamic roster for next year.
I don't know how you could be a portal guy and not see the way Lamont has elevated his game, Andrew Carr has elevated his game, Ansley Almanor. Like, go down the list, guys that have kind of come from different positions and in different roles in the past and have seen. I mean, Kobe Brea is on draft boards. The guys that were not even being sniffed as pros before they got here, now emerging and playing for a winning team, and they're getting the exposure. I would have a hard time believing that Kentucky won't be the number one recruiting portal class this upcoming cycle. I don't know why you wouldn't want to play for this.
I was talking to a guy today, and he said, "Man, if you're in the portal, it's only two, like Kentucky and Duke. We don't want to talk about Duke, but those are the two. I mean, if you're thinking of going to somebody or transferring, those are two schools you have to look at. And just Kentucky, it is the name. As much as people thought, well, if Cal leaves, Kentucky is a name. No matter who's the coach, it is the name. It's a blue blood, and it's going to stand. It's just the tradition of how they do things, man. It's unmatched, man. And so, if you're one of those guys who are going to be in the portal next year, I think your first call has to be from Mark Pope.
He said it, not me. Well, I said it too, but it means more when the 5 Stars dad says it. Dennis, bro, it's always a blast. We love having you on. You could co-host this show for all we care, and fans would eat it up. So we appreciate your time, man. And remind fans one last time how they can attend the events this weekend.
Yeah. Saturday on GoFan, 5 games called the S-Step Classic. Games start at 1:00, and on Sunday, SimpleTix.com. Tickets $20. Three great games. Starting at 4:00. 4, 5:30, and 7:00 is the feature with RWE and Huntington Prep. So look forward to a big crowd. We've sold a ton of tickets, so get your tickets now. Should be a packed house. I got my DJ going. It'll be a live event. So we're excited for everybody to come out and enjoy a good weekend of basketball.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see you up there, and it's going to be a heck of a weekend. Hopefully, BBN's in a good mood, celebrating after what hopes to be a big win. It could be a turn 1 into 2 because it's going to be an awesome weekend. BBN, I mean, why would you not want to be a part of something like that? Celebrate Coach Cal's return, all the chaos that goes with that, and then we get the ultimate. You get the entree with the Arkansas game, and then you get the dessert on Sunday. So make sure you go attend that. But Dennis, it's been a blast, man. We're gonna have you on again soon. We can't wait.
Appreciate you guys having me. Have a good night.
You too.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Shawn, how'd that go? I always, Dennis is one of my favorite people on the planet. As good of a dude as they come, and awesome event. I can't wait. I'm going to be there Sunday, and it's definitely going to be a high profile matchups all afternoon.
Yeah, Dennis is great. Like, you're right, Dennis could host the show.
He'd be way better at this than I would be.
I'll be there Sunday as well. We actually play Saturday there.
That was fun. Yeah, he brought that up.
We play Manual Saturday. Obviously, we got Bryan Station tomorrow night, huge district game, and then a quick turnaround against another top 14, 15 team in the state there on Saturday. But it's going to be a good weekend of basketball in Woodford County. They got a beautiful new school and new gym that we just played in. Freshmen, we won their freshman league last weekend there, and brand new gym. So this is kind of the first big event that's going to be there, and I think it's going to be a great weekend to get out there. And if you're a Kentucky fan, you want to be there.
And again, like I said, it's going to come after what is hopefully a celebratory Saturday evening. We got to talk tomorrow. We're going to dedicate the entirety of the show. We're going to talk, the ins and outs of it. What Arkansas has done well. Hasn't been much, but you got to talk about the good and the bad. Kind of what has gone wrong. Share stories, good memories of Arkansas. That's going to be tomorrow's show. But it was just such a kind of a controversial day. We get a Rick Pitino video. He's kind of just interjecting himself into the controversy. Just kind of your as we turn the page from the celebration of what happened in Knoxville to kind of just the intensity of what Saturday is going to bring.
It's emotional, and I think that anyone that says otherwise is lying, because John Calipari doesn't know how he's actually going to feel when he walks out of a different tunnel. And Jack, I don't know if any of us can say how we know we're going to feel when that thing starts. Like, you've got to see him as the head coach at Arkansas, and we've talked a ton about Cal, and they're struggling, but I would choose to not boo him at any moment, because he gave, even though we don't agree with the way that the last 4 or 5 years went, he still gave 15 years. He was a great ambassador for the state of Kentucky and the things that he stood for, and the helping out during disasters, and the tornadoes in Western Kentucky, and Kentucky basketball was always leading the charge when it come to, flood relief and, everything. Like it wasn't just at the latter end of his time here. It was the entire tenure at Kentucky. He was finding ways to help the state. And honestly, Jack, I'm not sure there's been anyone more impactful with his presence to the state to help in other ways other than winning basketball games. Like, you got to separate it here. He's no longer here. The people and all of us that, including ourselves, that we're calling that something needed to change, it's changed. I don't see any joy in booing him because and maybe that's just me.
Look, I like back-to-back comments.
I can't.
Oh,
I refuse to
look
boo.
at this.
I refuse. And listen, some people are different. Like, in that you can fan how you want to fan, but you also got to look, regardless of where you're sitting in that building. If you're looking dead ahead, you're looking straight up, you're looking to your left, looking to your right. There are banners hanging in Rupp Arena that he helped hang, and he is a part of some of the greatest history that this program's ever seen. That's why you don't boo him. And now you cheer Mark Pope, and Mark Pope becomes the guy that adds to what Cal left. Even though it wasn't good the last few years, he did a lot for this program, and I choose to remember that, and that's why it's going to be an emotional day for him. I'm willing to bet when he rolls into town, it'll be hard to drive past his house if it's John and Ellen. Like, that'll be tough. Like, that's a tough thing to do. Glad it's not me.
I said on KSR earlier, I would give a very polite golf clap because, like, there is something to be said about time and place. It is Mark Pope's job, and I loved what he had to say last night in his call-in radio show. I thought he nailed it. I thought, he's put in a really unique, tough spot with this, and I thought he handled it immaculately and just kind of understood both sides of the aisle and saying, hey, like, this is an emotional, intense time for BBN as well, knowing that, like, our job right now is to win basketball games. Our job right now is to, do what we haven't done in several years, and that's get back to the NCAA tournament and make a run and go make a statement in the SEC tournament. And some of these, important things that we just kind of lost our way with what was important and what mattered with this basketball program. And winning conference basketball games at home was one of them. Like, this stuff matters. And Mark Pope, by saying, hey, I get it. I know the emotions and the memories and the nostalgia and all that. I get it. I am a UK fan, and he said, that's my mentor. That's my friend. I love that guy. But it's a competition. It's our job to win that competition. So I am a John Calipari fan. I love the guy. I will personally give him a nice, gesture. I'd love to be able to, he won't, because I'm assuming he's going to be locked away in the visiting locker room and is not going to come out and even peek out that door until the minute he's called out onto the floor. But I would like a chance to just see him and say, hey, love you, dude. Thank you for, all the great memories. That will come obviously during his actual jersey hanging ceremony, but and then I want to kick his ass. Then I want, when the ball is tipped, I want it to be an absolute bludgeoning. I want Kentucky to win by 9,000 points. But it's going to be weird. It is going to be very weird. How are you going to react to, seeing Adu back and Big Z back and DJ back, and even like the recruits that were signed on and committed to Kentucky, now seeking different pastures in their own journeys down in Fayetteville.
It's tough, like those guys are going to feel something that, other people aren't in this game. And like, Kentucky's guys, Jack, whether, Amari Williams, Kobe Brea, whoever, like, they don't have any feelings to this. This is honestly just another game, right? Like, they understand the Kentucky Louisville rivalry. They understand, Tennessee and Duke, but, they don't have the Travis Perry will, because obviously he was recruited to be here by John Calipari, but I think those three will be in difficult spots. I think Cal's obviously in the most difficult spot just because of, I think there was probably a large stretch of his career, Jack, where he probably thought this was his last job and probably for sure his only last college job. That's where I would have put money if I were a betting man like 7-8 years ago. But, DJ, Adu, and Z, like they're in unique spots. Obviously the freshmen recruited, but that happens all the time, right? Where you're recruited somewhere and you actually don't end up playing there and you go somewhere else. But those three will they'll have a weird thing, right? Like they're in a building that you had a routine. You'd come in a door, you'd go down a hallway and you go a certain way. Well, now you're in that same building, but you're going the other way. That's something you probably don't know how you feel until you go through a pregame shoot around and you're like, wow, this was my home for a while. Like weird feelings all the way around. But I remember I was very young, but I remember how weird it was when Rick Pitino came back, and it was very weird. But eventually it became a normal thing that Rick Pitino was on the other sideline. If Cal's at Arkansas long enough, it'll eventually be a normal thing that he's on the other end of the floor. But this one's just different because it's the first one.
Your thought on Rick Pitino saying that the 23,000 in attendance, 20,500, but who's counting, need to give him a standing ovation?
Probably speaking from a guy that when he didn't get it, he probably knows how it feels. So that's Rick at this point in his career. Rick now has a voice again with this fan base that he didn't have for a very long time. Right? Like when he was at Louisville, like he couldn't really talk about the glory years at Kentucky, but now he's got a voice. Mark Pope is his bridge back, and we've known that. And it's been a beautiful bridge back. Like I think it's seeing his reconnect with Kentucky and wearing Kentucky again and supporting Kentucky and openly saying things. I think it's been really cool. And I think that was kind of just Rick going, I've been through that tunnel, and I know what it's like for the place that you loved that was your Camelot to not want you again. It's a tough thing. I'm sure Rick didn't feel too good, but Rick did a lot to kind of deserve some of the boos and things, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with him making that comment. Am I wrong? Like, do you?
I think he's shoving his nose where it doesn't belong. Like Rick, we have made nice. I have Rick Pitino t-shirts now with Bombinos. Like I am back to being a Rick Pitino fan. But buddy, you have a top 15 basketball program right now that your fan base expects you to, make a run in March and go to the Elite Eight or whatever. I don't even know what like a St. John's expectation is for, a postseason, but like you got your own team to coach. Like I was all in. I thought the fans blew it out of proportion when he came back to Lexington, was introduced at Big Blue Madness where the UK, it was a moment when Rick Pitino returned for the first time and Mark Pope really embraced him and wanted him to be included in that. But we are it's going to be February 1st. Postseason starts in weeks. Focus on your own team. Like you don't need to make a statement on every little thing that is happening with Kentucky and Louisville. Like he put out a tweet yesterday that said, Kentucky Louisville rivalry, and it's a tweet. It takes 15 seconds. Who gives a damn? But when you take the time to make a video to, officially say, I am making a statement on, again, with the boo, again, everybody has to have a statement, some type of stance on this. But it just felt like, why are you the one making a position with this? Like it's not your fight. You got your moment. Enjoy it. You are back in the good graces of Big Blue Nation. Love that. You don't need to be included in a John Calipari versus BBN head-to-head battle. Like, know your role.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. And I think, honestly, this is just Rick knowing he's in good grace with Kentucky fans, and he's trying to speak to them.
He's trying to get the ambassador role that Cal gave up with his contract. That's the move. That's what he's trying to do.
He is, and he probably will move into some role here. I mean, you think Mark's not going to want his guy around? Like, yeah, I think that'll eventually come. And And look, this is a weird time, and if obviously this isn't going to be a you recognize John Calipari and you light up the banners and things and you show 2012, like that moment will come at some point when Cal's not coaching again. Now, it's already happened for Rick, but I know bringing Rick back for a game is a big deal and kind of honoring things. And when you had the '96 team and you had this team, like Rick wasn't present for those things. I'm hopeful that when teams get honored down the road, Cal is able to be a part of those things. But like right now, obviously, is about winning and beating Arkansas. And it's just the first one. And the second time that this game happens, it won't be as weird. Like it'll eventually be the normal. Like we're reaching a point we already have where Mark Pope is the head coach of Kentucky is normal. There for a while, it was like, man, this is weird seeing a new guy over on the sidelines. It's all fresh. But like I said, people can boo, people cannot boo. At the end of the day, he did a lot of good. He could still be here with a lifetime contract. Things worked out for both. I mean, obviously, maybe not if you're looking at what Arkansas is doing on the floor, and they're obviously in a tough spot. But for Kentucky's sake, like Kentucky's in a good spot right now. And but if they were to win, if Arkansas were to win Saturday night, I don't know what Cal will say in that post-game press conference, but that'll be the toughest part for Cal is going to that podium after the game Saturday and having to talk. Once the game starts, it's just coaching. But after the games, when he'll have to talk about it all. Pre-game, that's one thing, but post-game in that building at a table where, I mean, he's looking at a different person over there. It's not Deb or somebody anymore. Like that's a whole other thing. Like that's a whole other thing to look around at. It's going to feel weird.
Yeah. Some people were talking about, Rick Pitino and deserving respect. Like it's has nothing to do with like a shot at Pitino. I mean, I'd say this when Jimmy Dykes runs his mouth or Seth Greenberger, like any of the people, like the national talking heads that try to make this about themselves and direct and say, you should say this, you should have more. Like you don't tell people how to fan. Like that was my one thing when the losses would pile up and things last year, especially when, UNC Wilmington and say, hey, this is how I personally feel about it, but you got to do you. Like you fan and have the emotion. If you feel in your bones that John Calipari did you a disservice and, represented the Kentucky brand the wrong way, and you want to go into Rupp Arena on Saturday and boo him to smithereens until your vocal cords go out, do it. I mean, that's totally your prerogative. If you also feel that you need to stand up and give him a rah-rah, that's my freaking coach, thank you for all the good memories, do that too. Like, it's not anybody's business to tell you how to fan. Like, do what you got to do. I totally respect both sides of the aisle. It's an emotional, and again, you might be thinking in your heart, oh man, I hate that guy. I can't wait to boo him. He is now in red. And then his name gets announced and you see him on the sideline again for the first time. And it might hit you in the moment to go, I kind of like that guy. I appreciate those good memories. Or you might be feeling that way, and when he comes out wearing the red jacket, and he might turn into enemy number one. Like, you don't know how you're going to feel in that moment until you experience it, and you're totally in the right either way for how you feel about it, I think, Shawn.
You are, and I get it. Like, telling someone how to fan's not a cool thing to do. I just let's say he gets booed Saturday. At some point, he'll be cheered again. Like we've seen that with if Rick Pitino can be cheered again, John Calipari can't. Like Rick Pitino coached at Louisville. Like he flipped fans off. Like if you can come back from that, like I think John Calipari going to Woo Pig Suey, eventually you can come back from that as well. And maybe Saturday's not the moment to cheer. But it'll be weird. It'll be weird when they say the head coach and the head coach of Arkansas, John Calipari. Like it's the same voice, the same guy, same PA. Like just different in a different order. Life goes on though, and here we are. It's a new era of Kentucky basketball. Mark Pope will be cheered.
He sure will, and make sure that he gets the loudest, no matter what it is, no matter if you love Cal, I don't care, whatever. But whatever it is, make sure the loudest pop is Mark Pope.
And we know that Pope doesn't want him to be booed, like, because I think Pope is appreciative of the history of Kentucky, all of it, good and bad. And I mean, obviously, Cal's overall, like when you go to 4 Final Fours, win a national title, like. There was a stretch there where Kentucky basketball was the coolest thing in sports. Like, let's not entirely forget that. Although at the end it wasn't cool at all, but for a long stretch it was really cool to walk around and say you're a Kentucky fan. Everybody was.
I got big news, Shawn. Would you like to hear it? Actually, it's going to lead to a question, so I might as well just tell you. We have the opening line. Any guesses? An opening line, not necessarily the opening line, but you're going to start to see the trickle effect.
No Boogie. 1-6 in the SEC, coming to Rupp Arena. Kentucky off a road win Tennessee, 10.5.
11.5. You almost nailed it. 11.5 is a big spread.
That is a big spread. I don't know if anybody would have put that spread on this game. Like, now it makes sense to me now to where it's that won't be double digits when the game tips, will it? Right? That won't be 10.5 or 11.5. That'll be. Does that come down?
I don't know, man. It could really go either way.
I mean, no Boogie, yeah. Ugh, man.
11.5 is a lot of points.
That is a lot of points. Then again, I said 10.5, so that is, yeah.
We'll talk plenty about it, but this is a perfect opportunity to tell you about our friends at Circus Sports Kentucky, because I am going to hammer all of the fun stuff coming on Saturday. It's going to be a great opportunity. I can't. I'm giddy just thinking about the build up to it and what's going to come with that. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you join with our friends at Circus Sports Kentucky. The best time of the year is here. The best day, the best event of the year is here. And the best app to bet college basketball is Circus Sports Kentucky. It's sports betting the way it should be, with high and transparent betting limits, the lowest holds, and exceptional customer service. It doesn't matter when they take the court, whether it's spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circus Sports is the place to bet college basketball fun and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 18 or older. For gambling problems, gambling services, call or text 1-800-426-2537. Shawn, again, today was the kind of recap, turning the page on Tennessee, what we liked, what we didn't like, what needs to improve, what it means, all that stuff for the volunteers. Got Dennis Johnson on the phone. Make sure that you are there on Sunday. It's going to be an awesome event. Can't wait to be there in person in Woodford County. Get to see Jasper Johnson's homecoming. Go buy those tickets, and then tomorrow is going to be the show. We're gonna preview the ins and outs of this matchup, what it means. We'll dig deeper into the memories and the fun and all that good stuff with John Calipari. We were really excited about that show and kind of what that entails. And then Saturday, we're going to be at KS Bar and Grill starting at 1 o'clock. We're going to have special guests lined up. We're going to have John Neighbors pop in. He's been hosting from KS Bar and Grill this week. Started today. He's going to be going tomorrow and then back Saturday. So that's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. We'll have Zach Gagan on the show. Going to nail it as always. He's incredible at what he does. So it's going to be, we're wanting this to be an event. It's a week-long, 5-day stretch of five consecutive shows, and hopefully on Sunday that concludes with, before we head on over to Woodford County, hopefully that concludes with a big old, hopefully double-digit win, as the opening line suggests.
Hopefully. It's definitely a good, fun weekend of basketball locally. It's actually it's basketball week in the city of Lexington too. Like we're a part of that. You got a rivalry in the city tomorrow night between us and Bryan Station. That's a big rivalry. You got the games going on at Woodford County and obviously Kentucky, Arkansas. So a lot of good basketball if you're in this area.
Absolutely. We'll be back again tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, right where you found us tonight. We'll be back again. Can't wait to talk about it, get into the nuts and bolts of Arkansas basketball, this rivalry and what we should expect. And then Saturday, meet us at KS Bar and Grill. It's going to be an event. We want fans to be there. We want to talk, mingle. We're going to interview fans. It's going to be kind of this just mass chaos of, hey, we're in the weeds. It's a big day of fans, and BBN kind of showing its best work. So make sure you come out, join us. KS Bar and Grill, 1 o'clock. It's going to be a live remote show. And then Sunday, we'll be celebrating right here on the same platform, hopefully with a big time win. We will see you tomorrow. Go Cats.